Hello out there in YouTube world, friends and family. It's another episode of the Carolina Sports Guy. On today's episode, I'm going to kind of look at something and keep it a little bit simple. We're going to talk about probably the 10 to 12 best defensive tackles. Mind you, defensive tackles, not defensive ends. 10 to 12 best defensive tackles in Carolina Panthers history. It's a position I look back on, and the first 3 or 4 really good. You get down to the end, this list is like, who the heck was that? But anyway, folks, if you have not subscribed, please do so. It's free of charge, doesn't cost anything. Help a brother out. Please pound that like button. Give me some comments. Let me know what you think of content like in today's video. Hit the bell notification so you can be notified of more content like this as I put it out. And by all means, folks, subscribe. Like I said, it doesn't cost anything. Alright guys, I started looking at the video, and I decided later on I could have broke it down during defensive line. We're looking at defensive ends and defensive tackles. And even that Ron Rivera year we did a 3-4, I believe it was in 2019. And it didn't work well. You had guys playing defensive end who were linebackers, and you can get into that. And we've had a few people in our past, like F.A. Abada, who's been defensive tackle but played defensive end. I really just wanted to concentrate on the guys in the middle. I kind of want to take my time and spend some more time as we get defensive ends, because it tends to be a more premier position when we talk about your Julius Peppers or maybe Brian Burns and guys like that. I really wanted to talk about the guys in the trenches today who can make it happen, the defensive tackles. Okay? So going back and looking at our history, I started pulling guys up, and I'm like, it's kind of shocked to see guys that, wow, they were only there for a year. We've had some pretty named people who've come through our doors. Gerald McCoy was kind of washed out in his career, played 1 year here, thought it was going to go well, and it didn't. I look at Dontae Poe that we got. He played for the Chiefs, and has been around the league a couple of times. Atlanta, I think is who we got him from. Guys that just never panned out. Now, before we get into this content, I do want to, kind of caution younger viewers, or I say younger viewers who maybe haven't been following the Panthers that long. Maybe you stumble across this video, and you're thinking, hey, let me look at defensive tackles, what we got. So I won't be talking about the guy we just drafted in the 5th round from Iowa, Davion Nixon. He hasn't played it down yet, folks. Hopefully he can end up working well for us and playing good. I've seen in our past 4, like we've had guys like Segun Fullwood and Terrell McLean. No, they weren't first-round draft picks, but they were kind of drafted around these rounds even earlier than what Davion Nixon was, and they didn't pan out. So we'll see. We'll temper our expectations and see how he does after this year. I got Daquan Jones we're getting from the Tennessee Titans. If he stays here and plays for a while, it's only going to take 3 or 4 years. If he can really earn his contract, you could probably squeeze him on this list in the top 10 eventually. Got to look like a guy like Bravion Roy. I believe we drafted him in the 5th or 6th round last year. Matt Rule guy that played at Baylor. Played really well. I was surprised he made the roster, and then not only made the roster, he got in games and started in a few. Can look for really good things for him, but I can't include him in this top anything yet because he hasn't played long enough. Now here's a guy also, before I get into this list, Derek Brown out of Auburn, our 1st round pick last year. Surely, if he plays as well as he did last year and improves, sticks around for a few years here, he's definitely going to crack this top 10 because he's just too valuable, just too good, and I think he'll make it. But I can't really put him on this list when he's only been here for 1 year. One guy got honorable mention. I want to bring him up because when I went to training camp 1 year back in 2007, he was on the roster. He played with us from 2006 to 2009. Total of 32 games played. 26 games started. I didn't make my top 12. Some people might have a problem with it, think he deserved it. But Mike Kiyamatu, I think he had a brother, Chris Kiyamatu, that played offensive line for the Steelers, or Baltimore. I believe it was Pittsburgh. But Mike Kiyamatu from Utah came over from the Baltimore Ravens, I think, as a defensive tackle. And we had him in the middle, man, paired with some guys. We just think, man, this guy's going to clog this middle up. no way they're going to be able to mess with us. And, he had a devastating injury, I think, in training camp one year, blew his knee out, if I'm not mistaken, and never panned out. Like I said, he played 32 games for us, 26 starts, but the stats just didn't really allow him to crack this top 12. All right, number 12, 2002 to 2003. So, yes, folks, 2 seasons. Started 12 games, got in a total of 43 overall. So I say 2 seasons, really kind of cracked into 3 seasons. Shane Burton. Number 12 on the list. Like I said, he was there. Kind of got us to that Super Bowl year. He's kind of a dependable guy, reliable. I wouldn't say he's a great starter. We're going to put him in at number 12. Number 11, 2003 to 2007. Played in a total of 75 games with 13 starts. Kendall Moorhead. Kendall Moorhead comes in at number 11. He was pretty useful while we had him for a while. He played in a lot of games, just didn't really get a lot of starts. Number 10 I remember well. From 1996, 1998, early on in the Panthers seasons, played in a total of 45 games for the Panthers, 24 starts. Les Miller, big Les Miller. Really come out of nowhere, played well when he did for the couple of years he was with the Panthers. Just didn't, pan out as well as we like for him to have done. All right, now we get to number 9. And number 9 on the list, Tim Morbito. Tim Morbito played from 1997 to the year 2000. Wasn't anything spectacular. Played in a total of 48 games, and he started 37. He was just serviceable. But like I said, when you're talking about a franchise that's only 27 years old, and you're only normally going to put 1 or 2 defensive tackles on your roster to start, probably 3 or 4 your overall depth on your roster, when you multiply that, just do basically 3 times 27, you're talking about 70, 80 guys. But then again, how many of these people played multiple years? So you're talking about a total of 30 or 40 guys who played defensive tackle for the Panthers. So, it doesn't take a rocket scientist figure. If you're number 9 on this list or number 10 and you've never been heard of, it's because all you had to do was be serviceable, start, get in some games, play some games, and that's how you get up on this list. Number 8, very familiar with. First round pick by Dave Gettleman out of Louisiana Tech. Wasted pick. Yes, he's on this list. He's number 8 because he played with us for 4 years, 2016 through 2019. Vernon Butler. Never lived up to first round billing. In fact, really, Vernon Butler did most of his damages last year, which he'd have been looking for an extension. We didn't let it happen. I believe he went to Buffalo. He's in Buffalo now, looking okay. He had 8 sacks in his 4 years with the Panthers. And guess what? He got 6.5 this last year. And it just was too little too late. Plus, he lost his cool against the Colt game, last game of the season, got ejected. I think he knew he was gone. Total of 77 tackles for us in his career. It just didn't pan out. Just an over. If we'd have got him in the second round, pressure would have been there. But coming out the Super Bowl year, it just really was not the guy that we needed. Number 7, around the same period of time, it's a guy who came in who had played for the Patriots and a couple other teams, Kyle Love. Now, Kyle Love I loved a lot, man. This guy comes in. He plays 2016 through 2019. Looked really good for the Panthers, folks. I mean, just overall. I should say he played 2017 through 2020. But, man, he played really well for the Panthers. And, I knew the writing was on the wall. He might not be there forever. He's a guy that we cut and brought back, signed him on these 1-year deals. And, I really love the guy's attitude. He played pretty well for the Panthers. But he comes in at number 7. And like I said, it just mainly comes in because of how serviceable the guy was. Number 6 on the list we're going to look at. Number 6 is Damian Lewis. Damian Lewis played from 2006 to 2009, so he played in some of those playoff teams with Jake Delhomme and Steve Smith. He was a pretty good anchor, played 62 games for the Panthers. He started 36. He's a pretty serviceable guy. And I remember in the middle, he was tough to move. He didn't stand out as being spectacular. He was just pretty solid. Number 5, the number 5 we played a lot of money for, gave up 2 first-round picks to the Washington Redskins. This guy played with us from 1998 to 2002. Never saw the Super Bowl for us, just ate up a lot of cap space, man. Played 64 games for us, started 56 out of the University of Pittsburgh, Sean Gilbert. I put him at number 5 because he just didn't live up to the money. And giving up that much draft capital away wasn't a good idea. But when he did play for us, although he disappeared at times, remember, 64 games. I mean, you're talking about a total of 4 seasons, say. He played in these games, started 56. So 3.5 seasons we got out of him. And as far as getting started in the game, just didn't pan out. Now, we're going to get down into the good now because we're talking about 4 guys now. The 4 best players, and I think when you start looking at defensive tackles, this is where we can look and be proud of as an organization and franchise, the guys we got here. Number 4 from Clemson, Brentson Buckner. Played from 2001 to 2005. Total 71 games played, 65 stars. Pretty serviceable, pretty good guy. He played in that Super Bowl 38 game, looked really good. He was tough to move, man. And just a great player, a good team leader. He comes in number 4. And, I mean, it's going to be a long time. Derek Brown's got a lot of work for him to do to move this guy off the list. I don't think it's going to be hard for Derek Brown to crack this top 5 if he plays a few years. He'll definitely crack it if he plays like he did the first year and improves as well. Number 3, Star Lotulelei. Star Lotulelei was drafted number 1 out of Utah. I was ecstatic. I didn't think he'd be there. And of course, it's the same draft that Rams got Aaron Donald and got him in an earlier pick. And I wasn't even looking at Aaron Donald because he was undersized, but he's definitely a better player. But Star Lotulelei coming out was supposed to go in the top 3 or 4 picks. He had some health issues and he dropped. And I think we got him at number 11 or 12, if I'm not mistaken, in the draft. But, man, what a beast. The guy played for 5 years for the Panthers, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017. Yes, he was there for Super Bowl 50. Man, and it wasn't that his stats were so awesome. It's just that he demanded double teams, which allowed our other defensive tackles to shine. He played in 76 overall games for the Panthers, started 75. It was really close between him and Buckner, but because he was a higher draft pick and because he actually played more games and started more games, I gave him the nod. We didn't retain his services. He ended up with 139 overall tackles for the Panthers, 11.5 sacks. But he was a great player, and he moved on to Buffalo. Really just a good guy that we had for us. Number 2 on this list, the beast from the University of Maryland, Super Bowl 38 years, Chris Jenkins. He had a quick first steps, folks. And he played in a total of 85 games for the Panthers. Started 79. Just incredible, 2001 to 2007. He was house-spoken a lot, but I remember Super Bowl 38, man, he just jumped that gun right when the ball was hiked. Between him and Buckner, man, Chris Jenkins was just a formidable beast. He shut down the middle. I almost put him number 1. But yes, folks, the number 1 defensive tackle of all time for the Carolina Panthers. I didn't like his game as much as I liked Jenkins, but longevity-wise, and when he was on our 2nd round pick from Purdue, Kawan Short, the same year we got Star Lotulelei. The guy had 268 tackles all time for the Panthers, 32.5 sacks, 9 fumbles, 6 forced fumbles, 9 fumble recoveries, 6 forced fumbles. He played 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 2020. This guy played longer career for anybody defensive tackle. Of course, last year he was on injured reserve and missed a season. And there's been talk about bringing him back. He hasn't signed with anybody. I think he's kind of washed up, and I wouldn't bring him back. But if we end up we do lose a player or two with injuries this year, if he stays in shape and we're looking for somebody short term, I wouldn't have a problem bringing him in. But then again, what are you doing with the bottom of your roster? What are you doing with your practice squad? If we have anybody who's young and developing, we can bring up and get in a game. But just don't rule him out never playing again, or even really playing again for the Panthers. But yeah, definitely say Kawan Short was the best defensive tackle this franchise has ever had. Okay, guys, what do you think of today's video? Give me some comments. Let me know. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so you can be notified of more content like in today's video. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you like. Whether you want more Panther content, Carolina Hurricanes, Charlotte Hornets, or the major colleges in the Carolinas. By all means, subscribe. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. And we'll see you next time on another episode of the Carolina Sports.